Hi, good morning. Corrie Thorne here, uh, coming in to do my weekly channel message. Again, I did one for the, I guess this is like a message in the beginning of the week. I did one for the beginning of the new moon and for the Lion's Gate, and that message came through as about the water. Well, today I'm like, everyone's been praying for rain. Right here today, there is rain. And what I'm getting is, I'm like getting really be careful what you pray and what you ask for. Pray and ask for what is of the highest good, not what we want to see happen. What is going to be of the highest good for the world? And sometimes what we want so desperately, what we think is happening, is that sometimes we have to let things play out. And so there's a sense today that if we ask too much for what we think we want, we are going to see a floodgate open. And I see a floodgate opening, and I feel like I have to give this message. I got this message loud and clear, and I don't associate that devil energy the same way, but it's like the devil is knocking at our door. And so what that means is that the negative energy of I feel like of the world's plates, like so positive and negative in magnetic energy of how magnets stick together. And so I just feel like it's like we charged the battery enough from both ends, is that we may be we may be charging up some of the energy that feels as if we are charging up the wrong plate, like there's some sort of platelet of energy. The way I see it is that something is collapsing over. So this is not a forecast reading per se of what's happening within us so much. This is happening within the world. So this is the energy of the world, of Earth, of the universe, and almost as if it's like some sort of heads up. But I'm not as scared. I'm not as scared. I'm not afraid. And I just hear, don't be afraid. Do not fear. But the world is about to see water flow in ways that we couldn't imagine. We have over amplified the emotional immaturity. And I've been speaking about this for 2 fucking years. Sorry, I had to swear because it's frustrating. It was frustrating. I'm not frustrated no more. Now I'm finally ready to come back. I'm ready to come back into the world, and I'm not holding back. It's like I was pulling those chains of saying, you know what, maybe I'll just leave this. But I'm like, no, you can't, because it's being asked of me to give these messages in such a way. It's like what we keep praying for and what we keep wanting to see change is not serving the highest good. And so even in, your desire to get your political parties in, whatever it is, it has not been serving the highest good. We've put in too much faith, trust and faith in the establishment. We have let people with God egos in human take control in a lot of areas. So we've made humans into that God energy, and we've given too much control into the hands of God-like syndrome. So we have people with big egos, a lot of bruised egos from childhood, a lot of bullied kids, a lot of people who always wanted to be something, being given too much. So even your president of the United States, and I'm going to say this lightly because I'm not in the United States, and I'm not a political person per se, but even the president of the United States has some sort of vendetta for all the years that he was mocked and made fun of. And there's some sort of anger that is arised within him, and that is brewing, and that he's being misled and misguided by his own internal chains that are holding him. And so there's some sense of like, you're just seeing like all of this is like, there's been a fury that's being unleashed. I'm seeing some sort of fury of those emotions, those energies. But we have to turn the tides now, and we have to shift the tides, and we have to really start using the power of the essence of a God within that has no ego, the super ego, to do the right things for the right reason, to turn the tides, to start to bring in the love and light into the world in much bigger ways than what we have been doing previously. And so even those who have been reaching out to be a celebrity through your messages, that's not working. I'm sorry. That whole time that I've stepped away was frustration of, why are we doing this? If you are someone who did this because you were desperate for money, if you're someone who did this because you were desperate for attention, if you're doing it and you keep manipulating the energy to give the messages that you want to give in the way of just saying, like I want to be a part of the woke world or part of that cancel culture, and I want to be a part of that, then I'm going to make the messages align. Well, that's what happened all the way back into the 1960s when we started this so-called golden age of Aquarius, when we started to get this imaginary image of what it would look like and not the true image of what it looked like. There is a sense of that it's our responsibility to create a heaven on earth. And if we don't start creating a heaven on earth, instead of, we are going to see the fury of a hell on earth. And we're already in the midst of it. And we're going to see a lot of things dry up. We've given too much control where it shouldn't be. We've put seeds of our lives and our livelihoods in the hands of people that now have this sense of control and power. And the everyday people do not really know that we are still more powerful. We still have more power. We still have more ability. And I'm not trying to be fearful. I'm just trying to say that what we need to do is we need to awaken that love and light in ourselves and see the beauty. Turn off those news stations. Turn every freaking one of them off. If we don't listen to them, they don't have ratings. And if they don't change how they speak to each other and have integrity and respect and share all sides of the stories, because that control is a mind control game. And there's such a big mind control game happening out there. It's awful. And if we are being convinced that, that things as if that sense of the time of the Holocaust, the Hitler energy, I'm seeing Lady Liberty, and I've been seeing her for 2 years. I'm seeing water up to here on her. I just feel like she's like just barely, her eyes and her crown are sticking out. And she said, it's not too late for us to place our own crowns on, for us to step back and for us to be able to tell a new story, for us to be able to walk into a new energy before this gets worse than what it is. And so we have to start turning the tides on our own energy. And that was where I've been. I have been off. I have done a lot of healing, releasing, letting go of any sense of what I've wrote out, some great teachings that I'm not going to share because I'm not here to share my work that's to come out. I'm here to share truth. And so unleashing from that sense of what we've jailed inside of us, what we've made a prisoner within us. And so we've imprisoned those parts of us that we've been told were horrible, that were bad, but our truest of truest face without mask has to come forward. And if you believe for 1 minute that the time of the world's being, manipulated into one way of thinking, one race, and one way of being, and I'm not for or against the vaccines. I think we should be allowed to make up our own mind. But there is a sense of awakening right here, right now, that we are witnessing, that we are going through, that if we are going to manipulate the minds of people, and that you're only allowed to only specific kinds of people, only if you're good enough to be able to enter, we have a real problem. And that's all of this is coming up for me in like floodgates. And I'll share more as I go, but I'm just back. I'm just back, like fully back. And I just feel like there's just this sense that right now what we're seeing, this is weather related, weather wise. I'm going all the way to weather. This is not our emotions. This is weather wise. We have prayed so hard for it to rain that I feel like what's going to rain upon us may be more than we can contain and control. And so a lot of what's been happening. So we ask for the communities to be safe. We ask for whatever the fires to need to do that are natural and a part of nature, to let Mother Earth take care of herself, but not to destroy anything in the lines of people's lives and livelihoods, and that we are all kept safe. And the rest, it's like whatever's of the highest good, if new, so when old burns away, new will come in, new trees will grow, it'll be beautiful. It's a part of the new earth. It's a part of the new beginnings. It's a part of all of this. And so this started, I'm from a town that went through this, and we're never the same after anything so catastrophic happens. But it's not the end of the catastrophic. There is a plate of energy. There is a plate underneath the earth, and I feel like it's underneath the water. I feel like there's a gap, and I feel like it's closing in, and we have some sort of like plate happening, and you're going to see some sort of floodgate of waters enter in. And I keep going back to Lady Liberty. I keep going back to, there's some real challenges and struggles in New York, and the devil's at the door there. And what that means to me is that there is some sort of like underplaying manipulation that's happening there that is not good, that's not leading the way, and there needs to be some serious healing that's happening there. This goes all the way back to like I'm going to say back to the beginning of New York beginning, and people trying to find their place and build their communities, but also that leadership and control. Who was going to rule the underworld is what, like, who was going to be rule the underworld? Who was going to be that mafia, that whatever that rules the world, like what rules that world, those worlds. And I feel like it came across, right? It's like bringing it's bringing the unhealthy from one country to another and not leaving it behind. Well, we're still doing it. Every generation, we keep bringing forth the same manipulation, the same stories, and we're not willing to let it all go and to be able to start anew, built on love and light, built on supporting each other, built on being here for each other. So we're seeing a floodgate of all of this that is like a melting pot of energy. And so there's a lot of things that has to change. We have to step in, show dignity, even to that sense of the prisoner. You wouldn't let you still feed food and water so that in hopes that people can see through your kindness, through your love, that they can see the love and light in them, and to be that sense of forgiving, that sense of forgiveness at the ultimate level, so that they can be set free. If we set free all the spirits that we're holding here to earth, all the ones that are all part of history, all the ones that are within us that are the negative energy, if we can set it all free, I feel like we have an opportunity, a chance. The world's not going to look like what you thought it was going to look like. Hate to have to tell you, but it's not going to be these beautiful little float around little pods type of thing. I feel like we're going to crash and burn before we're going to go back to basics. A prime example is look at the paper bags in grocery stores. We had paper bags. We were doing things right. But someone with a need to build a business and to take over, to make money from, decided plastic would be better. What happened when we got plastic bags? What happened when you bottled water? When you bottled what, whoever decided that selling what was free in the world, and we so easily fell for it. And we believed that our water was contaminated, we shouldn't drink it, but we never once checked to see where they're getting their water from and what they're doing to that water. It's like we just accept things. Sunscreen. We just accept sunscreen. They told us that that's going to be better for us than the sun. So now we're going to put that on our skin. So now we're going to put chemicals on our skin, and we're going to fill our skin full of chemicals, and that then the sun opens up the pores, and then that penetrates into the bloodstream. And now we have a whole new problem. Like, we have to start seriously questioning the motives and the manipulation that is in this world. And that's the message I have for today, is that, we have to really, truly start stepping in and look at the areas in this world where people are trying to play God, trying to be God, trying to be more than God, trying to be more than anything, and trying to, use the power of love and light to convince people that, fear is the way. And so every time that we are forced into a fear story, it is keeping us from growing. And did you know that? Keeping people from growing happens by instilling fear. It is the best tool that establishments know that works. They know how to use it. They know it's the key, and it's the key that opens the door to that Pandora's box, to that devil's door, into our own personal hell, that makes us second guess ourselves, that makes us fearful, that makes us afraid of the world, that makes us afraid of everything. And then says, oh my God, I need that medicine. I need this. I need whatever, because they told me. But you never once look behind what was behind that motive to manipulate. And so there's some real serious things for us to start to look at, for us to start to question, and know that the real heroes of this world are the everyday people. And they are the people that are like our veterans. They're the people who step up, and they are the everyday nurse and doctors. They're the everyday people like us that are showing up to try to be love and light, to just hold space, to be present, to be here. And we're not supposed to be turning on each other. We're not supposed to become our enemies. We're supposed to be working together to stop that instilled fear story that is being shoved down our throats, being pushed into your eyes and into your ears and into your hearts, that is causing that kind of fear, before we allow this energy of the human to become the God. So when we speak about it, it's like it's rolling in a Trojan horse. It's rolling in a Trojan horse. The door is opening. And I just see it's like a floodgate of this the enemy that is trying to make itself out to be the heroes. And it's a sad situation, and it's time for us to make changes. And it's time for us to really look at our own, where we allow ourselves to be manipulated, and where we allow ourselves to be taught into a fear story. And I'm telling you, there is still beauty in the world, and your neighbors are not bad people. And whether they got a vaccine or not, And the world is not a horrible place. And if you're going to allow them to give you, if we have to walk around with cards, and I'm not saying I'm not against I'm not against my vaccine. And I will be the first to admit I am vaccinated, and for a reason why I'm vaccinated. And it wasn't a fear story. And it was because I thought I had to go somewhere, and it was going to be important that I get there. So I also had to beat myself up over the fact that I didn't fall for the fear. I just knew that I wanted something outside more than I wanted me. And I've had to really, truly be honest with myself. I wanted something out there in that world. I wanted to be in a publishing company. I wanted to be somewhere more than I wanted me. And I sacrificed myself for that. And so I know that when it injected, I said, whatever it was, turn it to gold. Turn it to gold within me, turn it to pure love. I am the essence of a healer. Send that through me. And so I'm not, like I said, but I'll never judge anyone who do and who don't. And so, because that's not my right and that's not your right. I'm not here to play God, and nor is anyone else. So I refuse to play God, and I refuse to be judgmental, but I judge myself a lot for my choice and for my decision as a person, as a human, because everything in my channel has a different version and a different story. And I didn't always listen. And so I knew that there's a part of me that hated on me, that I wanted to be something. And when I seen that little speck of that gray area of my life come forth, that I wanted that so bad that I was willing to sacrifice, I realized it was time to pull back the chains. It was time for me to pull it all back, come back home to me, get back in, go back to basics, and become just me again. That girl who started out on our healing journey for her, and because she was manipulated into making a choice and decision that pretty much ruined my life before, the life that I was living before, and somehow I allowed it in again. And all because there was a carrot. There was a possibility of a carrot, a possibility of me being picked up by a publisher if I had won a contest, and I would, in order for me to get that, I would have to travel. And so I was willing to make the sacrifice, and it was a big price. And I don't regret the decision, I guess, because it's taught me, it sent me back to basics. It sent me home to me. And in coming home to me, I absolutely refuse to allow myself to hate on me or to sacrifice myself ever again. And I listen now fully to my guides, to my channels. I've spent a lot of hours on this floor, spent a lot of hours in deep prayer, meditation, and asking, tell me, guide me into being the best version of me. Let me do the right things for the right reasons, and not because the world is becoming the world that has been becoming, not because there's a social media or I have followers. It's like, or that I'm desperate to, or that I need to become desperate for followers. I have people who love me, and I have to love me more than I need to depend on the outside world. And I need to be proud of me, and not be so proud to say that I need anyone out there to validate who I am. Not even a publishing company, not anybody. I am who I am. I walk in my light, and I walk in my truth. And like I've said before, I don't tell those lies. I am honest. I am vulnerable. I am real. I am upfront. And I've had to deal with my own story of what I was willing to sacrifice, and I refuse to do it again. And so my truth is all I have to share. I bare my heart. I bare my soul. I share it all. And if I got 5 followers, that's good. If my work helps one person, beautiful. If my book gets out to 100 people and it changes the lives of, and it helps other people change their lives, then, and it's 50 people, then the book was written exactly for the people it was written for. And that's the truth. And whatever else in life is meant to be shall be. And the rest is right here. We have to care for ourselves. We have to care for ourselves enough to know that we are not defined by the world out there. We are defined by how we show up, by what we do, and how we are in this world. And I choose to live more dignified. I choose to live by faith and trust and truth, and be honest with myself and what it is that I want in my life, and love and light and family and people who truly are there for the right reasons. I will not buy followers. I will not buy into that. And I will not buy into the rest of the story. The everyday people are the ones who matter. And as us in the everyday community, the everyday people, we have to love and support each other. We have to know that this is the truth and we don't divide. We can have a different view and a different opinion. We're not here to divide. And if we start divide and conquer, if we start allowing that story, that control, that fear, that the churches, that organizations, that all of that instill into people to get you to close your mind off, to only think limited, to limit who we are and what we are, we will be a extinct in who we are, not the world extinct itself, but we will be extinct in our authenticity, our uniqueness, our ability to be able to show up and have our free speech and have our free minds. And we have to stop letting humans be the essence of the God. If you're someone who's in charge and you're listening to me, if you're, YouTube, if you're, I don't care who you are, if you're any of those, please go take a good look. Please go take a good look in the mirror at what your why was, what your need to be in control, what your need of power was, where it came from, because it's time for us to emotionally and spiritually mature in such a way that we can actually grow up, because you have to remember, the children are watching, the next generations are watching. And I'm going to be doing an interview about how the children are watching these channels, how these children are on YouTube, and how one child is not here because of what was on here. So it's not the everyday people that are just using their freedom of speech. It is what you allow for this. And so what we allow and what we get feared into and what we get manipulated into to become something more, or to fear that lack of, it is time for us to stop. Time for us to stop. Because as the world finds its way to Mother Earth doing what she's going to do, what needs to happen, evolution is happening. And evolution is not just within us. The world itself is growing up. It is maturing. It is getting older. It's getting wore down. It has to create new life. It has to clear out old life. Things have to die and new things are going to have to begin. I pray for safety. I pray for us to be surrounded. I pray for people to stay safe. I pray for people to open your hearts, your eyes, your ears, to be kinder to each other, to be gentler to each other, to stop the opinions and the judgments, and to definitely not allow some of this control and fear to get any further than what it has. It is time for a change, and we have to be the change in this world. I love you all. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being with me. And if I have to lose a few over this, then that's okay, because I'm now walking in my truth. I love you all. Bye-bye.